This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Tech, show number 113, recorded on April 18th, 2013. Here on Home Tech, we cover all your favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the Average Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studios here in Bellevue, Nebraska. Very cold and snowy Bellevue, Nebraska today. Hard to believe we're still getting snow in the middle part of April. And, of course, we post the show each week with world-class show notes out at theaverageguy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, just send us an email. You can do that podcast at theaverageguy.tv. You can find me on Twitter, just at Jay Collison, or follow the show schedule. Each week we post out there at The Average Guy TV. You can also join us for a live chat on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join us over at theaverageguy.tv/live. We have live chat right to the right of the live stream window. No account necessary. Just create an alias, log in, and join us in chat. We got a bunch of guys out there tonight. Welcome to everybody in the chat room. It's good to have you out tonight, and I'd love to have you join us out there as well. And actually, so as we say that, with the mistakes that were made in take two, of course, the folks listening to the recorded version won't know I made mistakes, but Sarah brought down some wine. So thank you, Sarah, for doing. She's listening to the show, by the way, live, just right above me. So thanks for doing that. Well, tonight we're going to talk some home server stuff. Basically anything John Zajdler wants to talk about. John is with us, and of course, John is an old pal from the Home Sever Show and a lot of shows over there, and I try and get him back over here on my show just as much as I can. John, how are you?
Hi, Jim. Doing good. Yeah, I've been banging around a little bit with Home Server there lately. I got a story to tell you. How much time we got?
You got the whole show, John. Let her rip.
Cool. Well, one thing I was playing around with is Windows Home Server, actually, well, version 1. Okay, one of my brother, he's an IT guy, and he has a customer where the guy had 2 Windows Home Servers. He had a MediaSmart EX470, one of these, this one nice. Exactly here,
vintage.
And he had and they also had because I think there's about 15, maybe 15 or 20 employees at the company. Anyway, what happened is they moved to a bigger place and they moved their big server and all their stuff. And one of the boxes they had was this one. And since they had 11 employees, so they actually had bought this box to back up their PCs, back in the day, right? They bought it maybe 4 years ago or so, and then they had bought the Acer box. Remember the little Acer Cube, which was also running Windows Home Server version 1. So that was to take it, for 11 users and higher. So now with the big move and all that stuff and moving equipment, it's like, okay, maybe it's time to revisit that. So anyway, one of the things I did is I said, look, bring me the boxes. I'll take a look. See, one of the things is I wanted to install Windows Home Server 2011. You see, for those who don't have the video there, well, you're missing out. Well, what happens is I ended up cutting into the side of the case here, and I put a cable. Can you see that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, let me make you hold on. Let me make you full screen. 1 second here. Okay, there you go. You're full screen. Yep.
Yeah.
Good shot.
So that's and then what happens is I can let me just yank on it and it'll come out. See, so that's it. It's basically a little cable, and you have a cable and your VGA, and that's how you connect the monitor so you can see what's going on.
And you make that yourself, John? Yeah,
I made this out of scratch. You buy the parts over at there's a company like DigiKey. It's they sell little electronic wires, so you crimp it and all that stuff. So you can make that the VGA, and then you can make like the PS2, which is the keyboard and the mouse, because it's old school, right? The PS2 keyboard and mouse. But you could actually use a USB keyboard and mouse. So technically, all you need is really the VGA. So and the other thing is that the Acer box was also made by the same manufacturer that made the I forget the name of the company there. Maybe the guy said, maybe Drashna knows out in the show in the forum there. I forget the name of the company. If he says the name, I'll say, yes, you're right. That's the one. They made the same boards for the Acer box, so you can use the same video cable for the EX470 and the 490 and all those boxes with the Acer box. So anyway, so what I did is I said, let me try and see what. Yeah, Winston, he's the man. See that? I told you, he's a go-to guy. There he is. So what I ended up doing is I said, look, let's try putting a Windows storage server, because they have a big, $12,000 server, which is running Windows Server 2008 R2. And I said, let's get the Windows Storage Server 2008 R2 Essentials. So that's the box there that is running like Windows Home Server 2011, but it's basically 25 users, and you can add it to the domain. So you don't have to go inside and start to create all the users' names. What you do is in the dashboard, you'll go in there and you'll say, there's a settings in the dashboard where you'll say add it to a domain. Then it'll say, do you want to add a list of users? What group? And you can create the Windows Home Server group. You can just say domain users, and then it'll add those guys. And then that's it. Now when you go to the PCs, and you'll go to the web browser and you'll say whatever //server/connect, and you'll get the connector tool, you'll install it, and now you'll have you'll have it running. So so that's what I did. I took the Acer box. The 470. I'm going to play around, maybe Server 2012 Essentials on it. I'll see what I want to do with that one.
It'll run that for sure. 2012?
Yeah, it'll run it. Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's it'll be sweating it out, but it's like an older guy, you're not 25 right. anymore. You're 55, you're 65, but you can still run.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, it's like, okay, take that Acer box, 25 up to 25 users, install the connector, install like I said, the Windows Server 2008 R2 Essentials, and let's see how that runs. And then if that runs reliably, then they'll buy like the license, because basically now it's like I have a from a TechNet license and stuff. Mm-hmm. So trying it out, see how it goes, and then like I said, it's an Acer box, so it's that's an Atom of I'm not sure if P410 or I think it's some kind of L410 or P410 Atom CPU.
D410.
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 Okay.
Yep.
So it's not it's not even the 525. It's not up there, So, but if it's just for backing up and that, then maybe that that'll be strong enough. So then that's.
Even the 525 struggled a little bit. I bought the D525 and installed the early versions on it, and 2011 was okay, 2012 not even close. So it struggled to do some things. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but that was my experience.
Yeah. So that's it. So we're gonna play with that. Let them test it out, and if that's the case, that it's like you can go off the shelf and buy yourself a $300-400 computer and with an i3 or something and set that up, But in the meantime, it's like this is the hardware you have now. You want to try out the server version because it's it's different UI and stuff like that. It's the more modern stuff instead of using Windows Home Server version 1. So give that a shot. So
are they prepared to pay the price for the 2012? Well, how much is storage? They'd have to pay for the storage server version. Is that what they would eventually pay for if they keep it?
Yeah. Like the OS, I think it runs around $200. I think it's somewhere there.
Bad. Okay.
Yeah, and then they would have to whatever hardware you want to put it on. So it's like do you want to get an i3 or an i5, nice little quiet box? Or the other thing is, I guess that they also probably have the option where since they have like a big server there, is use a VM, install on the VM and go down that road, and you start sharing out your drive space in there. So I'm old school a bit. I like having dedicated hardware, not necessarily run it in a VM. A lot of the guys have been running Windows Home Server version 1 on their 2011 boxes and stuff like that, and into the VM. So
it's not a bad way to. It's not a bad way to continue to support it, especially for those enthusiasts like us who still want to kind of mess around with it, but maybe are short on the hardware, right? So you put that in a VM and run version 1 in a VM. So it works. It wouldn't work the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't work.
Well,
drop that mic down just a smidge for me again. I'm picking up your breathing again. There we go. It's fine.
So the other option is I have down here on my desk just to show you guys. See, this is the Western Digital DX4000, and this one has a D525. See the camera. Yeah, that has the circuit board is actually up here in the it's upside down in the top of the case. Then here you have your 4 drives. The door just pops open. You have your 4 drives, and they're Western Digital. These drives are like $250 each. This whole box is around $1,500.
Yeah, it's an expensive unit. I mean,
Yeah, so it's a bit like, do you want to go down that road? Do you want to say like I'll get this, and you can buy them. Like what's nice with the Western Digital is you can buy them with see, this one comes with one model comes with the two terabyte drives, and then they have since then they ship it also with four 2 terabyte drives, or now they're starting to ship them with 3 terabytes and 4 terabyte drives. They've updated the OS, and well, sorry, not the they still keep Windows Storage Server what they're running on there, but they have updated their firmware to support the 3 terabyte drives, and it's a RAID 5 array. So it's a little pricey. So you kind of think, do I go with this? But this is a turnkey solution, right? You bring in them the box, you install it, you start it up, and there you go. You don't have to install the OS and stuff. If you have an IT guy, the guy might be saying, okay, I'm gonna install the software. It's $500, $600, $700 or whatever to install it. This is more of a ready to go solution.
John, it's been a while since we've talked about that Sentinel box a little bit, and we've got some new. We picked up some new viewers, so give kind of a basic. I mean, you've had that for a while, but kind of give a basic rundown, and then maybe give the 2 or 3 things that you really like about it.
Okay, well, what's good about this box is, like I said, it's ready to go. So that's the greatest thing. And what happens is Western Digital, they're adding a couple of their software. They created like an add-in which gives you their Western, I think they call it Guardian support. So they got some kind of like online stuff. So when you buy it, you get like 1 year or something of, you can call in and you can report if there's issues. You can tell it to like you click on the link and it'll send some kind of like a log file to them, and then they can investigate that. So that's a good thing. And the other thing is that it's the only one that I've seen that actually supports, like just recently they added a firmware update. I'll have to try and find a link somewhere there. They added like for Apple, because now back in the day, you were able to back up your Apple laptop to your MediaSmart server, but since Apple changed to the 10 point something, those days went away. And these guys, even with Windows Server 2008, which is I don't know if you want to call it a dated software, they've added support for Apple. So what they do is they create they have an add-in that gives you iSCSI. So you allocate a chunk of your drive to this, however, because I don't know so much about Apple, but however Apple uses, I guess it connects to an iSCSI drive, and it uses that drive. It'll see that drive and it'll say, oh, okay, now I can use that up. I can use that as a what do they call that? Their backup.
Time machine.
Yeah, a time machine backup. So that connects there. But what's nice is that you'll go to just like in the Windows Home Server 2011, you go to the web browser and you type in //WD Sentinel /connect, and you'll download the software, and you'll see how it is usually it'll say Windows software, and then on the bottom it says Mac. So you'll download a Mac connector, you'll install it, and they kind of like trick you. They do a little bit differently, whereas on your PC, on a Windows machine, you see your dashboard and it's like an app. And them, it's more like it's a window that opens up, and it's a remote desktop window that is actually opening the dashboard that's on the server, but you see it in the window.
They're not installing any client software on the Mac.
Yeah, well, they put some. Yeah, they just
right.
open their whatever it's called, the window, or not the Windows. Sorry, the Apple remote desktop, and apparently Apple does something weird about the way they get that going. So it's nice to see that there's they've added their extra little add-ins to that. This is what I like with when HP they came up with their MediaSmart, they added their little software. Western Digital added their little software, and it's sad to say that you don't see too many guys out there with ready to go systems. The only other one I know of is LaCie. They have they're running. They have I think Jim. What's his name there? Sorry, Jim over at Connected Digital World with Andrew Edney. He recently did a review on a NAS box.
Jim McCarthy.
Yeah, Jim McCarthy. There you go. Thank you. And he did a review, and it's not like Windows Home Server. It's some kind of proprietary. I don't know. It looks like Linux or some kind of software, so it's a little bit weird. But he's got a long few pages there too, if you want to get into that NAS box, because I guess maybe using what would be, let's say, dedicated NAS. You can use Windows. You can put your Windows files system, or you can use your Apple file system, because NASs tend to cover like both, whereas Windows tends to cover just one.
John, does that have a video port in the back?
No.
Okay.
See, that's one
And
thing.
you haven't hacked one in yet?
No, I haven't figured it out. I did take it apart, like I said last time. I took it apart to see how it has laptop memory. I might swap out the memory and put a 4 gig stick, and but in the back, what it has is 2 ports for power and 2 Ethernet jacks, 2 gigabit Ethernet. So you can, and it's called teaming. So if one port goes down, then the other port goes. And then you have 2 USB 3 ports, which is what they give you. Huh.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to show that. I've got the back of it, so let me show that here real quick. Let's see if I can get that actually working. Is that showing it yet? No, it doesn't want to show it, John.
Oh, you mean you got some pictures?
Yeah, there we go. I got a picture of it. I'll throw that up there. So there's the back of it.
Yeah, so what's nice is like it's a brick that goes on the floor. So it's the power, being a small box like that, it's external. But what's nice is they give you some kind of redundancy where you can have 2 boxes connected. The guy's running his air compressor outside. The guy, you have 2 bricks, so you can put on the different power UPS. Let's say maybe one direct in the wall and the other one on the UPS. So at least or you try different outlets. Let's say if you had it at work, on a different circuit, so you can just in case you run out of power. And then the same thing for the network connection there. If one happens to drop, you have the other one. So they built some of that nice stuff built into that box.
John, where are they going with this thing? I mean, it's I sure haven't heard much about it. Are you hearing anything? Are you hearing anything about it from them? It just doesn't seem to get much market traction.
Yeah, you're right. And I hang out at their website every once in a while. I go to their it's WDC.com, and then they have a forums, and you go to, I think they call it a community, then you get in there and they have pages. And some guys was even asking, how can you upgrade this to Server 2012 Essentials? Again, when you're talking Server 2012 Essentials, that's domain, the controller, and it's a little bit, you're putting it on the Atom processor guy. So it's like,
right.
Is it doable? Because like I don't have the cable, right? With the Acer and the Media Smart, I'm able to put the cable and also start. You can even start the installation of Windows Server 2012 Essentials, on another PC, other hardware. Then take out the drive, continue in here. But with this guy, what happens, because it's a RAID array, right out the gate, it's looking for those drives and it wants that RAID card. So you can't start the installation somewhere else and then move the drives in here. And there's no video connection. So it's like some guys were saying, how can they do it? I accidentally got it installed once, but I can't retrace my steps, And but one of the guys was asking, because that was the thing, is they're saying, is this going to go? Are you going to support now 2012 Essentials? Maybe a limited, like a sort of like a cut down version. Maybe something that they can turn off Active Directory and just use like PCs. Because like one of the things that Western Digital did, if you want to say crippled in this box, is because you have that limitation of the 2 terabyte backups, of your shares and your OS type thing, they actually disabled the option where you back up the OS or you back up the shares. So you can't do it. I guess they figure, you got a RAID array, and that's what it is. If you want to put your other files, then I think they got together with, I think it was who was the online guys, but I don't know if they're still in business now. They're what's those guys there? Remember they had an ad in. I haven't seen them for a while now. And see, I even forget the name.
Yeah.
So they got together with somebody's online backup company, and so it's like use that, and also in the
Crash Plan or Carbonite or Mosey or
no.
One of those guys.
Jeez.
Cloudberry.
No, keep going.
Keep guessing. I've thrown out 4 or 5 of them. John, did you say those drives hot swappable or not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like it's a RAID array. I won't pull those drives out.
Yeah. So if one drive fails, you're going to get a notification on that front LED screen, right? That's going to say there's a drive that's failed. Is that how that works?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll tell you that you have an issue with the
And you would
drive.
shut it down, pull the drive out. You got to replace it. Those are
With the
standard
same drive.
drives. Those are standard
No,
drives, though. No, you got to buy
no.
special drives for those.
These are wicked drives. These are like, you got the, your reds, your blacks, and then you got your these are called enterprise. Like, you look at, they're quite impressive. They're supposed to be rated for 1.5 million hours. So they're top of the line. Well, they're
Holy
Western
moly.
Digital, right? They're
Mhm.
a drive company. So it's surprising that the hardware is like a little atom board, but the drives that they put in there are, they're $300-400 each, and that was the 2 terabyte drives. Now they have the 3 and the 4 terabyte drives. So
You'd think Western Digital would own that cloud storage space by now. As many of those drives as they sell, if they had enticed people in, if they'd created their own, it seems a little counterintuitive, right? Hard drive manufacturers selling cloud storage space, but everybody knows eventually a lot of that stuff is moving into the cloud. And I know they have a cloud offering, but
mhm.
you'd think with as many hard drives as they have out there, you'd think they'd own that space, and they just don't.
Yeah. And I remember early on, HP, when they had their Media Smarts, they had some online backup that they were giving. They had an add-in, and you would upload to their site, and then they got out of it. So that's why, like you say, Keep Vault. It's Keep Vault is the guy.
Ah, Keep Vault. There we
There you go.
go.
There's Keep Vault.
That's the magic one.
They got bought out by somebody else, and I don't know if they're still carrying the product. And I think the other one that I saw kind of fall off the map was Perfect Disk is not supporting Windows Home Server. I still have, for my version 1 in I think 2011, I have a Disk Keeper, but I don't know how those guys are still going on.
John, have you been messing around with the with the drive extender technologies? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago on Home Sever Show. Have you been messing with either one?
Yeah, I've been playing around with them. What I like about the one from DrivePool, Stablebit DrivePool, is I always like their pie charts. Because when you open up the dashboard and you see your shared folders in the bottom quarter, let's say your lower third, to use a good word, as it's like very little information. There's like a line there, and it's wasted space. So what's nice is that Stablebit or CoveCube, they use that area to give you a nice pie chart, and they read the drives, and so depending on how many drives you have and how large you scale the dashboard, you'll see all your drives, you'll see a percentage of how it's used. So I really like how they do that. The other guys, DriveBender, they do it a little bit differently. They have like a separate app, or they have it like full screen in their app, and they have the sort of like a speedometer lines moving back and forth. Whereas these guys have a pie chart, and they'll say, like, if you have videos or what is it? Their MKV files, if they're VOB files, if they're ISO files. So I like how that's presented. And I think it was a month or two ago, that's when they started playing around with the 2.0 version, which is going to be like for Windows 7, Windows 8, and Server Essentials. That one I've only played around with it for about a week or two, but like I said, I like the 1.3 version, which is for the Colorado products. Yeah, that's a 2.0.
Yeah, this is what you're talking about when you're talking about the pie charts.
Well, that's it. See, they have the pie chart here, and this is the 2.0 version. But if you look at the if you go to their other page there, like, where you can download, see, that's a 2.0. If you go higher up, and I guess 1.3, yeah, that's it. See that? There you go, right there. See, that's what I like. That one there. Yeah. See,
Okay.
so down there they give you the pie chart. Again, like I said, depending how you stretch it out, they'll give you this information. And I like, remember there was those guys, Awaco. They had like a sort of like a little add-in that you could download for version 1, and I think also 2011, where you can kind of see your, how much information is, how your graphically how your stuff is on your drives. And I would like to see DrivePool maybe come out with, or Stablebit, just give me this little add-in. Just give me maybe I don't want to have a drive pool, but I want to be able to go to my music folder, my videos folder, or documents folder, and get a graphical representation of my files, so what my status is. See, so like I said, usually that bottom half there, there's nothing there. So here they added the pie chart, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, it's got some good. It just helps, helps to quickly look and see what where what you got where, which is
Yeah,
kind of nice.
and you have that option where you can, uh, let's say, if you have a bunch of drives, and then you can say equalize the usage among the drives, which is some people want to go that way, or sometimes you can say, look, just fill up the drive as much as you can. Then I'll sort of like let the drive go to sleep, and then I'll start wearing out another drive. Like just maximize each drive. So at least they give you those add-ins that he was speaking about last time. There were different like balancers or archiving add-ins. So I've been playing around with that one there also.
Well, and I'll tell tell folks, if you listen to my show and you're not a Home Server Show listener, which is like maybe 2 people, maybe. Dave and I spent a bunch of time with Alex from Stablebit and Cove Cube talking about that back on show 219. So homeservershow.com, and then look for show number 219. And we spent lots of time going through all the screenshots and talking with him about that. So if you're interested in that, you can take a peek at it.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I think they recently came in just last week again, another update for that.
Yeah, and John, we talked about that, but the scanner is also a feature that comes with DrivePool, that he's integrated those together. The Stablebit scanner, which kind of checks the drives, and I've been using that now. I've gotten a couple warnings on the home server saying, hey, I've got a drive with some bad sectors on it. It had 4 bad sectors, and I've been watching it over the last that's been a while since we did that show, but. So I've been watching it maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they haven't changed. It's stayed 4. So I'm just going to leave it there. At least at this point, I don't feel like I'm in any danger of losing any data at this point. And I back up that data that's on those drives anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But a helpful add-in. Well, now it's completely integrated into 2.0, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. Where he's had his advantage. CoveCube had the advantage that they had the drive smart error checking software, and then the DrivePool, and they kind of merge it to work together. The drive bender, they only recently started to add the where they're checking the drive, and they're using another program. They're sort of like licensing from somebody else. I think some program called Sentinel or something like that. And now they've incorporated. They're kind of saying, yeah, it makes sense to maybe use those 2 products. Something to check the drive and then DrivePooling together. On my version 1 there, since I don't need like a DrivePool on Windows Home Server version 1, but they do have the scanner version, but I think that's a paid app, right? When you use it on version 1. Mm-hmm. And I like to, I'm using actually, what's his name? Matthew has a smart add-in, right? He was on
Home Server Smart?
Yeah, Home Server Smart, yeah. It was Matthew, wasn't it? Matt, what's his name? He was on a recent one of your podcasts. Sorry,
Dave Drashton just put it in there. I can't remember his name either.
Okay, yeah. So on the version 1, it's a free app. It's add-in, so I use it there. Every once in a while, like Dave said, sometimes it's like, I don't want to know those numbers, but it was weird because I had that story I might have told you guys a while back, right? I ran the add-in, and then it told me I only had like 1 or 2 bad sectors, and but it was still saying that the drive is like, it's like, a couple of warnings. Your drive's not going to die today. So with that information, I actually called Western Digital and I said, hey, I got a smart warning, this and that. So they said, all right, we'll replace the drive. So sometimes that's a good thing to, maybe one thing that they should do in the add-ins is somehow, like when you add, let's say, a drive, when you bought the drive, put some information about your licensing, or, go online and get the stats on your drive, right? And if errors start to pop up before your year is up or whatever, if you have a 1, 2, or 3 year limit, then let you know. Say if there's a potential problem, and then you can end up getting a replacement drive out of it. Why not? That's how I would go.
Yeah, we're getting a lot. Check the chat there, John. They're throwing a lot of info in there.
Okay.
Dojo North Software.
Yeah, it's a guy.
Windows Smart.
Matt, what's his name?
Hold on, I'm looking. It's not saying.
Help us out, guys.
Someone Matthew Sawyer.
Matt Sawyer, that's right. Yeah, Matthew Sawyer.
John, let me ask you this question: antivirus or no antivirus? Where are you at? I mean, you're turning your home server installs over pretty quick. I mean, where are you keeping right now? I mean, where's your data that you're not messing around with all the time? What's it on? What, you know, you certainly have a home server you're keeping stable at this point, right?
Yeah, my production one, the one that I really shouldn't touch.
Yes.
Hold on, I got another video going here. Let me pause that. Is my version 1. It's my version 1, baby, man. That thing is rock solid. That makes the backup. I got a tons of add-ins. I got SharePoint on there. I got Active Directory thanks to Drashna on there. I got the whole kitchen sink. That thing is running and it's got everything. I'm running what is that? Media Center Master to help me with my video collection, to identify all my tracks and name everything properly. Like, that's the solid guy. That's the guy that's running. And I play around with the microserver. I have this small business server essentials, and then sometimes I'll swap out the drive and I'll try 2012 essentials. But my
all on the same box.
Yeah, like on the microserver, I'll swap all the drives. Yeah.
Oh, on the microserver one. Yeah.
But on the HP, the 470, like I had the 470, I had the 490, and I blew my 490. I wish I would have it back, because then I would be able. Because the 490, you're able to hack like 3 terabyte drives into there. You know, not the system drive, but the other 3 drives could be 3 terabyte drives, and that's because of the Intel chipset. But you can't do that with the AMD one, as far as I know. I wasn't able to do it. So now that I have my 490, it's a 470, but it's a modified 470. I got like a better CPU and stuff like that.
You updated the memory and put the better CPU in, right?
Yeah. And then I take advantage of the eSATA port in the back, where I connect it to a Sans Digital box, and actually in that box you could have 4 3 terabyte drives, and then use that hack where you add it to the pool. So I could go that way, but I find that, you know, with like 4 2 terabyte drives, you know, so 8 terabytes of space, or I don't know, maybe 6.5 7 terabytes of space. That's more than enough. You know, before we were kind of thinking, oh, you know, are we going to outgrow our servers? Should we go for the Norco 4220 box or whatever, larger and stuff, you know, and get more and more drives? But now that the drives are at 3 terabytes and 4 terabytes, but even then, like I said, 2 terabyte drives, 4 2 terabyte drives, that's plenty. I got lots of room.
Yeah,
I got lots of room, and I don't really turn on duplication, because that machine would kind of sweat it out. Version 1, like I said, the 470, whatever. So what I do is I like I said, I use the eSATA enclosure, and I just say back up all the shares. And again, because it's a pool, I don't care how many. If it's a 6 terabyte or if it's a 4 terabyte video share, I just say back it up. Boom, it backs it up. None of this messy stuff that you have to deal with version with 2011. That problem goes away in 2012, but in 2011 you don't. You know, you have that hanky panky going on. So like that's rock solid, that machine.
Hanky panky, I like that. Yeah, 2011 is a great implementation if you really just have less than 2 terabytes of data. It works great. I mean, that is a great no-brainer, super simple. When you get more than 2 terabytes, then you're talking about drive extender and some additional technologies to use to get that done. So we've talked about this before. I have less than 500 gig of data that I keep. And really a lot of that I could probably get rid of. I mean, I'm kind of storing it because I'm a backup guy and I need to sound like I got more data than I do, but I just don't have that much data. So a lot of those things work pretty well for me. I've only messed around with the drive extender technologies because we talk about it. And so that's been a little bit different for me. Not so true with a lot of the guys out in chat. Drashton is saying he's got 19.1 terabytes in his pool.
Well, you know, if you're backing up, like if you're using on Windows 8, let's say, and you're using a Media Center, and you have a TV tuner, and you're backing up, like the videos there.
Yeah, but I never backed those up. I never backed those up. I never backed up TV.
Or you don't save them?
No.
Yeah, you don't save them.
They get.
Who save them, I know Tim DeLeo used to save a bunch. He saved all like the Star Trek series, you know. And
but they got commercials in them.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can edit them out, but even then, the files become 3 and 4 gigabytes files.
I know. You got to think about your own time, though. I mean, going into every single episode of Star Trek and editing the file and then re-putting it back on the server just to take the commercials out. Can just go buy the DVDs. It's better quality, and even if you record them HD over the air, you're still going to get better quality on your DVDs. So that's, John, that's why I haven't. We used to watch Stargate SG-1, and there's 220 episodes of that, right? And eventually, I was recording. I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep them. But I know some folks do, and that could add up very, very quickly. You're right. Those are fairly large files, right? An hour episode is.
Oh yeah, they're big.
I haven't even.
Josh is yelling in the chat there. Come skip. I could just hear the DVD Entertainment 2.0.
Yeah, but even with
come skip.
No. Even with that technology, it's never clean. It's not exactly. I mean, yeah. If I'm going to keep it, I want it to be perfect. I mean, I'm going to rip it and have it on my server. I just don't. I can't get into the keeping the TV stuff. Sorry. Yeah. That's just me. That's just me.
I hear you. I mean, yeah. I've been playing around with my Western Digital box, and there's some kind of app that it's almost like because we don't have like you guys. We're like backwaters. They're old school. We don't have this Hulu TV and all of this stuff there that you can just go to. Use a media box and go watch any show you want. Forget it. It doesn't happen.
Right.
So I use on my Windows 8 machine. My problem is that I have a 60 gig SSD drive, and what happens is I'm using a TV tuner, and it's downloading my shows to the SSD drive, and then it transfers. So the SSD is like the landing pad, So it copies the video there, in this case, WTV format, which is a 3 or 4 gig file. Copies it to the SD drive, and then it moves it with an add-in that I love since day one for Windows Home Server version 1 is TV Manager, and so that'll automatically grab the file even at a certain time or immediately. It'll grab the file and then it'll copy to the server. So when I have like I said 8 terabytes of storage, I'll say this whatever, I don't know, Kitchen Nightmare or one of those cooking shows my brother says record that one. Yeah, I have about 50 episodes and I don't think I've watched maybe 2 or 3. But it's like it goes on in the background. It does this thing. It copies and moves it to the server, and it's like it's not software that I would because I have the space and the technology to be able to copy them. I will.
Right,
but if I had to pay for online storage or send them to the cloud and it was a bit of a headache, then I would say forget about copying those shows. Yeah. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. No, I don't want to move mine to the cloud either. I'd back them up if I had them at home. I would probably back them up to some kind of device. To back them up. But it's TV. Yeah, I don't see the point. I mean, I get it, but I don't see the point. We keep them around for a while. We have 2 DVRs, 2 Windows Media Center DVRs. I think. Do we have 2 or 3 now? We have 2. We'll have 3 here this weekend. But and they just record onto, I have a secondary drive that's maybe 500 gig or less, maybe less than that. And just that's all that drive does, right? It's got that recorded TV folder on it, and it's totally dedicated, wide open. And then I tell Windows Media Center to manage it. And when the shows start, when I get too many, they start dropping off, and it just keeps us from keeping too much stuff, And Sarah's she's listening, but she's actually really good. She goes through and deletes after she watches it. She just deletes it off, and she's really good about keeping her queue clean that way.
Yeah. I also, there's another add-in that I play around with called Recorded TV Manager, which is by Jay Drash, and he's got some kind of like an add-in, an app that's on your desktop, and basically let's say you recorded a bunch of TV shows, and then you say, okay, I watched this one, and like it knows when you watch it, it'll delete it after. So like it'll clean. So you can have, let's say, 10 episodes, and you say, okay, these 10 episodes of whatever Next Generation, put it there, and then as the person goes through watching them, they get deleted. So it's like it's some kind of good automation stuff where you get that going. Hey, did you want to touch on that Windows 8 build, the 8.1?
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. You downloaded the hacked version of it, and talk a little bit about how it installed and your experience with it.
Yep, what I did is I couldn't upgrade or do like an upgrade. With Windows 8 now you can upgrade the 7 to the 8. The version the build that's available is a 32-bit, and I'm running the 64-bit, so there was no way for me to do any kind of upgrades. I had to do a clean install. I find it was a little bit quicker.
VM it? did you
I could have
install it
went down the
again, or
road,
did you
but
go?
no, I got a
Okay.
160 gig drive, so I said, you know what? I'll just install it.
Okay. Cool.
Not hard. I don't even know what hard. Yeah, yeah. On my PC. I just unplug. I have a spare drive in my PC. I just unplug the power from one drive, plug it into the other drive, and install it there off a USB key.
Yeah.
This is what's great is when you have these little keys like this, and there you go. There's your OS.
Yeah.
Ding. You just
And
pull
that's
that
how
out of your
big?
pocket at your friend's house. Here you go.
How big is that?
That's 8 gig, and it's
Okay.
a tiny little
Yeah.
stick like
Yeah.
that there.
Oh yeah.
You only need 4.
Don't think it's chewing gum. Don't mistake it for chewing gum.
So I installed that, and one thing I did notice, because with Windows 8, right, when you install it, it gives you, okay, almost done. 1 more minute. We're getting there. Did you ever see that menu? Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're almost there. And what happens is I actually moved the mouse down in the corner, bottom left, while it's doing all this sort of like 1 more minute, 1 more minute. Because remember Windows 8, now or Office 365, you can actually install Outlook, start using, or you can download the platform, start installing it, and start using it while the other guys are kind of going in the background.
Yep.
So I noticed, I don't know if this was kind of like built in, like it's like, how impatient could you be? But again, this thing is 1 more minute, almost there. Well, I'm going to get you. So I moved the mouse down into the bottom left-hand corner, and I saw a little start screen. I clicked on it, and then my desktop popped up. So then I was able to go into, and then I was able to go in, and it was a little slow and still doing its other things in the background. So I got that going.
So bottom left-hand corner, like you would normally do to get the, to go back to the start screen. Or
you would get that little start picture in the corner.
So it'd go to the Metro UI.
Yeah. So
or the desktop.
I went to the Metro UI.
Okay.
Then I clicked on one of the first thing I did is I went to one of the icons. Like I didn't like where the position of the desktop icon is, the tile. So I went to grab it to pull it down, and you can't pull them down. Now you just grab them and move them around, right?
Right.
Now you can't. In the new version, there's you have to, I think, right-click somewhere in the bottom, and I think there's a word that says customize.
Okay.
And you click on that, and then they kind of like, it's just like on your iPhone there, where when you hold the button, they all start to flash.
Right.
You start dragging them around. So it's more like that. So then you start dragging them around. So I brought them all around. Then I clicked on the desktop, and then I started. I went to the desktop, and because it's Windows 8, and I logged in with my Microsoft ID. So you kind of think here, it's like I'm installing a hacked version. But you're typing in your Microsoft Live ID.
Yeah, now you're telling them who you are.
You're telling them I'm using this build.
Banned for life. Banned for life, John.
So it's like, I know, okay, it's temporary, guys. I know it's temporary. So I logged in, and one of the first things I did is I said, I'll install my Windows Home Server version 1 connector, and I actually got it. It gave me an error. It said it gave me like a 404 error, which is like a web browser. Usually in a web browser, when the page is not available.
Right.
So it's like, well, what's up with that? So I was having I couldn't complete the installation of the Windows Home Server version 1 connector. So that was a little strange. I know you. And the other thing was, even with version 1, even old school version 1, you have to install the .NET framework, like 3.5. Yeah. And imagine with Windows 8.1, it's not like by default in there. I mean, they're already up to version 4 and 4.5 of the .NET.
Yeah. No, I don't think it. Well, it's a fairly stripped down version at this point, right?
Yeah, I guess you gotta say what it is. I mean, like it's like you say, it's this is a build there. That it's not made to go out in the prime time.
Yeah.
So that's it. So the thing is, it told me I had to install the 3.5. I went to click. It's gonna tell me to download it from the web. I went to try and download, and then it's telling me my internet connection is not working. Yet I'm at the browser. I'm going to Google. I'm going to different sites, but when I tried to install that, it didn't. So I guess I'll have to like download it separately, install it, and then kind of go. So
it needs a little work, is what you're saying.
It needs a little bit of work, and some of the stuff, it's some of the customization. Like before, anytime you wanted to do a couple of, let's say, some decent changes, you have to go into Control Panel and start like getting in there. And the Control Panel is like the Windows 7 version. Whereas now they're starting to bring that, they're trying to metrosize it, or give it skin it with the
Yeah,
Metro
yeah.
stuff.
Make it look a little more, probably a little bit more like the new Task Manager, right? Because that got an overhaul. Or not the Task Manager.
Well, the Task Manager too.
Yeah.
They give you the CPU. They give you like a couple of.
It's got a whole new look, right? They added more features to it, and you get more reports, and they're a little bit better to look at. Yeah,
the Task Manager, but the Task Manager is still like I didn't check the new one, but the one in version 8, it's not a Metro app. It's a desktop app, but it's cleaned up. It's not a. So that's
so your overall impression, a little sketchy still. And where'd you get it from? Can you disclose, or would you rather not say?
Yeah, I know some torrent site.
Okay.
I don't know. Click. Somebody had a link. I click. I said, you know what? I'll try it. Oh yeah, you asked me before about antivirus, right?
Yeah.
See, on my version 1, I used so some guy in the Home Server forums. They pointed. I think I saw it there. Somebody said just use Microsoft Security Essentials. Like basically what I do is I copy Microsoft Security Essentials to the root directory, and then I use command prompt, and I go in the command prompt and I say MCE install space / disable OS limit, and then it installs.
Wow. I'm not still
1.
Right. Oh, in version 1. Yeah, I'm still not sure I'd use Microsoft Security Essentials at this point, but it's gotten a pretty bad rap over the last couple months. Yeah,
I did play. I know some guys play around with the other one there, the storefront. I was going to say storefront.
Yeah, forefront.
But that's, I don't know. I think it's more or less the same version of just slightly skinned version of Security Essentials.
I mentioned it on the Home Server Show. I think that I found Malwarebytes for $9. And I posted that link. I can post that again. You can find that fairly inexpensive. It was a Google search. I just Google search Malwarebytes, and I really like Malwarebytes at the desktop level. And so $9, and I threw it on the 2011 box and fired it up, and it's the paid version has a scheduler in it, and it just runs every day and does its thing. I guess I'm not necessarily that worried about it because I'm the only one who puts files on the home server for the most part, part. So I don't know why I did it. I guess there was some discussions going on in the forums over at homeservershow.com. About that, and I kind of thought, so I did a search for Malwarebytes, and I found it for $9, and I thought, well, might as well for $9.
Can't go wrong for that one.
No.
Well, just like the like I was saying, that server that I set up for that company there is it's server 2008 R2 Essentials, and then my brother says, "Are you going to put any drive pooling?" He said he comes out with that. Do you have drive pooling on there? I said no. I said, but I have the add-in. And if you buy a second license, it's only $10, right? And I think, like he even had mentioned it on the podcast, or even if you have, let's say, DrivePool, and you want to go and buy the scanner software, because you have DrivePool, you get scanner at half price, which is somewhere around $10 or $15. So, like you say, sometimes these options, it's a no-brainer. It's like Apple came out with the 99-cent. Everybody was ripping off the music, but then when Apple says, look, you want to buy one song, you have to buy a whole album. Now, one song, 99 cents. Malwarebytes or whatever, it's like $9, $10. No, easy buy. Where's my PayPal? They should install it. They should make an add-in for PayPal add-in. Hit the PayPal buy.
Yeah, no, that's a sweet spot. $10 for antivirus is pretty good, and I've been using Malwarebytes for a while now. The free version, I install the free version. I still use Microsoft Security Essentials on my desktop, but every couple of weeks I'll just run Malwarebytes on it just to make sure. And I've yet for it to find anything. So, and ever since now that I got pfSense running, I'm even less concerned about it because it does a nice job of shutting down foreign sites and some of those things that that you shouldn't be at. So I'm not all that worried about it.
Yeah, we're getting Drashner's putting out a couple of good ESET. What is the word? How does that go? What's that one called? The real word for ESET? He's gonna have to type it in there.
Yeah,
it's $30. He says he got 3 licenses, $5 each. It came out to $35 for 3 PCs. So, not 32.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about. I mean, since Security Essentials came out, that antivirus debate went away for a while, and we kind of all quit talking about it. I mean, it was just like, just use Security Essentials. And it was great because you could just, for the average user, you could just say, yeah, at a minimum, you have to have Security Essentials loaded. I'm not so sure I'm even comfortable saying that anymore. I mean, it's got to that point. I kind of,
it's better than leaving your door unlocked, but
no, right on.
It's like, it's like closing your door with a screen door.
It's
I'm using
it's like securing your front door with a screen door.
Microsoft Security Essential, the new screen door.
Well, it's better than a screen door. That should be their new motto. Well, it's better than a screen door.
Yeah. Well, what is it in the Server 2012 Essentials? Because in Windows 8, right, they kind of bundled. Is it what are they calling it there now? Their antiviruses.
Defender.
Yeah, Defender. So, and I don't know if Defender's built into Server 2012 Essentials, or if you have to get a separate antivirus.
I don't think it. I
would kind of think that since it's sort of like the same.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's probably extra. They probably want big buck software for the server version.
I know Paul Braren just joined us, and I know he's got a post about putting Forefront on your Windows Home Server. Paul, we've been talking about antivirus just briefly on home servers, and bringing that topic back up. And I don't know. Maybe a year ago, I would have trusted it, but anymore, I'm kind of back. Paul is quick on the URLs, man. He must just be jamming. Nice job, Paul.
He's got a little window on the side. He's grabbing them all. But I wonder if who was it there? You had a pod on one of your podcasts. You had what is it? Was it what's his name? Schooninger?
Schoonover.
Schoonover?
Kevin Schoonover.
Kevin Schoonover. Did he say, like in his network map? I think he said he had a hardware. Was it a firewall, or he said he had a network connection that came in, it split into two, and then I think he had some kind of like a hardware device. So, and I know Mike Howard there, he likes to play around with his Unreal Unreal tournament.
Unreal. Mike. Go ahead and put it in chat if you would. He looks for every opportunity that he can. No. The other thing that you like to say, not pfSense, Mike, but the storage that you like to tout all the time. I'm giving him time to put. There he goes. It's Unraid. Unraid. Yeah. So John, what you're referring to, show 106, 107, 108, and 109, we talked about home networking. And so if you're new to the podcast, if you go out to theaverageguy.tv/ and then put in HT 106 or HT 107 or 108 or 109, that'll take you directly to those shows. And I think Kevin was on 106. I'm gonna make a guess on that. HT 106. That's actually a URL shortcut stuff I just started using on the site to try and make it easier to find the podcast. So if you're new, even if you're old on the Home Tech and you want to go back to a prior episode, just go averageguy.tv/ or theaverageguy.tv/HT, and then the show number. If it's earlier than 100, it'll be 0, and then the number. If it's 100 above, it'll be 10 or whatever going. So yeah, 106, and those were pretty cool because Paul Braren was on that show as well. And let me go through the notes here. That was Paul and Nathaniel and John Stutzman. So it must be 107. If it's not 106, it must be 107. But what was cool about those shows, John, is that those guys spent a bunch of time, and each show it got ramped up. In 107, we had Kevin on 107. So theaverageguy.tv/HT107. You can go out there and take a look at each one of them put their network setup in the show notes in there, and they all did diagrams and did a nice job. Bill Pullman joined us for that show as well, and Rennie was on that show. Did we have 4 that night? And Greg Welsh, yeah, that was the 4 show, and then the show right behind that was BYOB. The Michael Martis, Mike Fauché joined us and talked about their stuff. So with Kevin's, John, let me see if I can bring his picture up here real quick. I'll share that, and you can talk about that. Let's see, what would be maybe this one. Did that get it there? I don't see it yet. No. Screen share's not working real great tonight. I don't know why that's... no. Okay, I can't do it. But head out if you want to take a look at that. Let me see if I can take a peek. What you were referring to? He's got a hardware firewall, right? The Zajdler 20.
Yeah, yeah. You said he had some nice box there where you had two connections come in, because that's it. You want to have some kind of hardware, like or something in between, right? It's like here's my network connection from my cable modem and or DSL modem, and now it's going to go to this box, and that guy will take care of all that antivirus stuff. And it would be nice, if like some company, just like a router, it's like, okay, we'll update the firmware, we'll take care of having all the antivirus or whatever software on there, and then after that you have your rest of your stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, pfSense has been good for that in a way. Yeah. There's some features that you can use on pfSense. So we talked about that. I installed that here a couple months ago, and we talked about that on some past shows. And it's a good little router to have out front. It's certainly, John, in my case, I was overwhelming my wireless. I bought I got a D-Link 655, and we just with all the network traffic in the house, we were just overwhelming it. And so it was having, it was slowing down, and it was going offline very frequently. When the kids would start gaming, it would just go down. And so since I took the 655 off, it no longer does DHCP, so it's just an access point for the wireless devices. And I've put the pfSense out in front of it. Man, we have just had great luck with it. I think I got the pfSense dashboard running over here. And Mike Howard for the longest time used to tell us how long his servers were running for. No, that's not the right one.
But that's on dedicated hardware, right?
Yeah, that's on the D525 now. Yeah. So I put that on the Atom D525, and it's got a 30 gig SSD, which was an overkill for that, right? I am, you don't need an SSD.
You have a hamster wheel there, turning, not a SSD.
I'll bring that. You guys in live stream will be seeing this. You won't be seeing it on YouTube, but you can kind of see what that looks like, and I guess it's got all my IP addresses in it, so maybe I shouldn't.
You're the same guy, Jim, that not too long ago, I think I remember you saying you had an 80 gig hard drive somewhere.
I do. I still do.
And he's got pfSense running on a 60 gig?
30 gig SSD. Yeah, I bought that actually at the Home Sever Show meetup. I bought that. It was a refurb that we bought at Fry's. And I brought it home with I was going to put it in my daughter's laptop, but when I talked to her about it, she was like, "No, Dad, just get me a new laptop." So I never got it in there. And the day I was building out the pfSense router, I'm just like, I looked around on the bench, and there was a couple spinners and this SSD. And I'm like, might as well just try the SSD out there. So I put that on there. And, it runs, John. I may be, as far as utilization of that CPU at this point, we don't have a lot of network traffic going through, but the most I've ever seen it is 10%, using 10% of that CPU. So, and that's a good low power PC, CPU to use.
Oh, yeah. It kind of, SSD kind of makes me think about how, I think it was Susan Bowen. Didn't she say on the podcast there, she was with you and Dave, and I think she said something like, usually SSD drives, the technology, I guess, maybe I'm just paranoid or something, but, a spindle drive is giving you a hard time. It's like a record, sometimes you clean it or whatever. Oh, okay, the music is getting better and stuff like that. Spindle drive is like, oh, I run the spin right or whatever. It's getting a little bit better. But SSD drive, it's a bit like, when the chip dies, it's like there's, if there's a part, like if your data is gone, your data is gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fixing it up. So, this is where it's kind of like, well, maybe then you should have a home server, okay? You're giving the trade-off is having like, let's say, sort of instant access, but, it's at any time it could just like a candle, just go out.
Yeah.
So, back up all your stuff.
Right. It makes a great OS drive, and then when it goes, you just toss it, right? You're not going to, when it starts going, you're not going to recover that thing. So, it's just time to toss it. So, hey, John, let me throw a few things in here. I'm going to get your feedback on these as well. Just get some. We bought some new. If you follow us in the Facebook group at all, so if you go out to facebook.com/group/theaverageguy, I think that's the right address out there. Let me double check that because I can never remember if it's the Average Guy TV or the Average Guy. So it is the Average Guy. Actually, Sarah had posted out there earlier, and those just came in today. She just bought. We're taking the HP 310 and we're moving it upstairs into the kitchen, and that's going to kind of become the kitchen PC. And she wanted a nice keyboard and mouse to go with it. And so if you head out to that group and ask to join it if you're not a part already, but she put a post about the new Logitech K810 Bluetooth illuminated keyboard. That was kind of a recommendation. I think that's a recommendation that came through. And yeah, Keith, we're going to put a PC in the kitchen. It will be her work PC as well as whatever other entertainment we want to do in the kitchen. It's got Media Center on it, and she can set that up to record TV upstairs if she wants. So you could watch TV in the kitchen, which would be kind of cool. That'll work. And that HP 310 I bought for $200 on Craigslist locally here. So it was running Windows 7. I upgraded it to Windows 8. It could probably stand an SSD upgrade at some point in time, and that's probably what we'll do. But for $200, a pretty nice. I think it's a Core 2 Duo or something like that. That will work well for her. Big 20-inch screen, so it'll be pretty nice. She's got a spot already set up. But we got that Logitech K810 keyboard, Bluetooth keyboard, and then she bought a T400 Zone touch mouse, which looks pretty nice. Of course, that's the one. There's no wheel on that. You just touch that, and away it goes. And so, kind of interested to see how that goes. That has its own dedicated dongle, so to speak, that goes in to control it. But yeah, so we'll be setting that up in the house. Thanks. I want to thank the guys on the Facebook group. If you haven't joined that yet, let me encourage you to head out there and get as in a part of that group. Just some really good average guy tech conversations going out there, and I appreciate the input that you guys make out there in Facebook as well. So, John, are you in that group?
No.
You ever go out to Facebook?
I'm not a big Facebook fan, man.
All right,
I don't know. I'm an old man. I haven't went on that thing.
Love to have you out there in that group. If you ever, in fact, you mentioned Kevin Schoonover. He's a big contributor out there. He puts some good posts out there and is very helpful. So, Kevin, if you're listening, thanks for being a part of the group as well. Just a couple things coming up. Most of you know I've been pimping this for a while, but most of you know that I spent some time at Infotech 2013 this last week. That's a conference here in Omaha. That it's kind of a tech conference, entrepreneur-driven. In fact, Craig Johnson, who's in chat tonight, Craig met me out there. We did some live streaming. I'll call it podcasting. It's by definition that's probably not right, but we did some live streaming out there as a part. We got a booth and we set up a table and we set up 2 microphones and a bunch of computers and put a projector up on a large screen, and we projected the live stream content that was going on all day. And I sat down. Each of the keynote speakers and the session breakout leaders each got a chance to get an interview, a 30-minute interview. I did about 20 interviews over the course of the week. All the raw content for those, youtube.com/theaverareguytv. If you want to see those, they're all out there. I still need to edit them. They're kind of raw at this point. But if you want to see, some interesting interviews. But I wanted to show you some pretty cool. If you've been thinking about podcasting or you're looking at upgrading your equipment to just do Skype calls or Google Hangouts. So I wanted to show you a few things that I picked up to do this, and it was a lot of fun. So one is I bought this. Let's see if we get that up there. This is an Alesis Multimix 4. And my camera is not set to focus, so it probably won't come up. But Multimix 4, 2 XLRs out, and you can also get 2 more channels in there if you want. You could add your computer or whatever on channels 3 and 4. Just standard connections. And a nice little, fairly light, a nice little mixer that was very portable that I could take with me. And it looked pretty impressive when it was sitting on the table. And stuff plugged into it. So we purchased, and I've been talking a ton about these. And these mics, these ATR 2100s, if you don't, and they got a little on-off switch on.
They look like paintbrushes.
Yeah, they kind of do, don't they? I added. This is the one I have here, and I added. They don't have they come out of the box looking like that. So maybe less of a paintbrush like that. But right now they're $33 on Amazon. And I'll remind you. Oh, that's what I'm using right now. Does it sound good?
Yeah.
Same
down the street, my place there's a little electronics store, and how some of these guys, they have these it's like the dollar store. They got some mics here for $15, $12 a stand there. You're kind of thinking, karaoke and all this. It's like, yeah, man, this thing. I spend $100 here, and I'll have tons of stuff, but it'll probably be broken in a week. It's like you just wonder, what the quality's like.
Well, these things started in the 50s, and tons of guys have bought them. I know Mike Howard just purchased one, followed me on the dark side with these. If you're doing any kind of communication, I was just talking with Keith. He's in chat too this week. He followed the purchase. By the way, if you're buying from Amazon, theaverageguy.tv/Amazon, that feeds a few dollars back to our show for the giveaways that we do. And thanks for those. Actually, this month's been a great month so far, and we've had a lot of people use that link. So thanks. If you've used that link, thank you. And we'll be giving that money back away. But $2,135, it turns Skype or Google Hangout into a delightful conversation. The nice thing about it is on the back, it's both XLR and USB. And then it's got a headphone jack out for real-time monitoring, so you can hear your voice back in it. So,
cool.
John, eventually I'm going to smuggle one of these into Canada for you, so you'll have that. So,
cool.
Very, very nice. So this is the best audio upgrade you can make. So we had two of these running, and then the other thing what we did is we ran everything through. And if you haven't used one of these before, these are kind of cool. If you have a bunch of people that you need to get headphone information, headphone sound out to, is we used a 4-port headphone amplifier, if you've ever used one of those before. So set that on the table. The thing I like about this one is it has jacks for both 1/4 and 1/8 inch. So you don't have to have, you don't have to carry around a bunch of adapters with you. It is powered, and then so you plug in, I plug this in from out of the headphone jack on the soundboard into this splitter, and then I could have up to 4 headphones going at the table, which is really cool for that kind of application. I don't know if you need this at home, but if you're doing any portable sound kind of stuff, it is an ART. Actually, if you head out to, well, maybe I haven't posted this yet. Maybe I'll post all the links for this equipment in the show notes so you can go back out. But Keith, there you go. If you want to see that, it's an ART accessories. It's a what do they call it? I'm trying to read that here. Head Amp 4, and if you want, like I said, these will be out in the show notes. If you're listening on the audio, head over to YouTube and watch the video. It's just a lot better. But I know if you're in your car listening, it's hard to. So this little splitter, really, really nice. If you were doing, so Keith, maybe in the case where maybe you and your wife are podcasting at the same time, you could use one of these and get the sound out to both set of headsets. And then if you don't have a good set of headset, I found these Sony. These are on Amazon. I have the link for it. These are just some Sony CAN headphones. I paid $14 for these things, and they're dynamite. Now, they'll probably break the first time I drop them, but they're $14 on Amazon.
Do you find they get your ears hot or what?
I wore the earbuds all day, and so I didn't. So I haven't used them for long periods of time. But for the guests, nobody complained about these. In fact, the first thing they did, every single one of them did this. They picked up the headphones and they looked for the right and left. They started looking. It was almost like they're trained to look. Okay, which is the right, which is the left? I'm like, it's mono, so don't worry about it. There's no stereo here, but everybody looked to see which way these go. But these were pretty inexpensive cans as well. And if you're going to I would say, John, you're right. If I was using these for longer than maybe an hour or an hour and a half, I might go with the earbuds. They are just dynamite. I know Sarah uses those. Mike uses those. I've gone full time with them. We got earbuds, YURBUDS. We got those at when we were out at CES a couple years back. And actually, Dave out there, Dave McCabe from Home Sever Show bought me a pair. Last time he was at CES, and that's the pair I'm using. Well, no, the pair he bought me I run with. These don't have the microphone in them. So great. I can wear these. I mean, I wore earbuds. I was at Infotech. I started at 10. I ended at 4. I was wearing earbuds all day, and they just don't hurt your ears. So it's they're expensive. They're $60 or $70, but they're well worth it. And then, you can't, if you're going to have a microphone, I didn't pay much. These were maybe $5. Little metal mic stand with an adjustable, and this works great for a tabletop. So I'll post all the links for these things in the show notes if you want to take a look, if you're going to do some portable sound. But really, the mic improves your Skype or your audio, your Google Hangout sound if you've got one of those. And And the thing I like about the mic, I love hearing my voice back in the earbuds. So some good stuff. So check that out over at youtube.com. I'm sorry, go to theaverageguy.tv/infotech. That's INFOTEC, Infotech 2013. That's the conference link for all the videos. They're all in a playlist that I put together there. And if you want to kind of see how we did this remote podcasting, John, it was interesting. The thing I learned during the week is that the content didn't matter as much. We were there kind of doing interviews and recruiting. And I recruit for Gallup, and so we're doing recruiting. It didn't, the interviews weren't, well, what people would do is they would wonder what we were doing. They would walk by the booth, they would see the microphones, and they'd be in the screen, and they'd stop. And that's exactly what we want them to do, stop, and so we get a chance to talk to them. We had some handouts and stuff. So that was pretty cool. That was good stuff. So if you followed me this week or you watched, I know a few of you jumped in there. You can thanks for coming out and listening, and you can catch all that stuff. I've also made a post over at theaverageguy.tv if you want to catch up on that. If you have any questions, one of the couple interesting things in there, we did get a chance to talk with Robin Daniels from Box.com. And he is the chief marketing guy for the enterprise division. And so there's an interview with him in there. That's relevant from our standpoint because, of course, Box.com, cloud storage, if you go to theaverageguy.tv/cloud storage, I've got that cloud storage guide that talks about all the various cloud offerings. I now have like 25 different links out there, John, for cloud, for cloud storage. Are you using, I know you're metered, so your cloud offerings may not be as attractive as ours, but are you using any cloud storage at this point, John?
SkyDrive.
Pretty exclusively?
Yeah. Put my stuff there, and it's about it. All my important, like the pictures, basically, like we say, pictures are stuff that you can't, it's personal stuff, so it's not other people took it. So the music, you can always get it over and stuff like that, but pictures or home videos.
You move those all up to SkyDrive, and you have the 25 gig that came for the early adopters.
Yeah. So I just have photos. The videos, I have them on on my server, and then they're duplicated on another server. Maybe a couple small little, like not the good quality videos. Well, it's better to have a lousy quality video than no quality video.
Yeah.
So if you got the good quality stuff at home, and then you say, look, I just want to rip it into something, quick file and just send it up in case I lose it. Okay, then that's fine. But yeah, 25 gig is enough for me. And I don't know, I haven't been playing around so much with like Office 365. You know how those guys kind of like, their documents, they're kind of putting it online and you just kind of forget about it. So maybe I'll end up using SkyDrive more for that. Maybe, I think in Windows 8, there's in the build that I got, there was like a SkyDrive, like a link on the desktop. So it's almost a bit like, they're kind of trying to get it into you, all over the place. So maybe I'll start using more of it there. But no, not too much online stuff.
Well, it was interesting. Robin talked a little bit about their enterprise. I mean, they're really trying. They're going the way everybody starts at the consumer level and then realizes there's no money in that, and so they make a run at the enterprise because that's where the money is. So they're really making an effort. Box has Active Directory integration into their software. So if you are an enterprise, you're an Active Directory shop, you can connect and use your Active Directory account to access their data and share it across your enterprise, or you share it outside of the enterprise. And they kind of support for some small businesses, I think it's 50 unlimited storage for $50 a user per month or something like that. They've got some pretty interesting offerings they're doing on the enterprise side. I'm going to get Robin back on the show where I can talk to him a little bit longer. We got about 30 minutes, and I had some required questions I had to ask him, so we may bring him back in and may try and get an enterprise guy or a consumer guy from Box. They've been pretty generous with their storage, giving up to 50 gig away on the cloud. Want to thank many of the listeners have sent in, Landon Story, and I'm going to forget if I try and name them all, I'm going to forget them. But you guys have been great about sending me links for new cloud storage, and I've been updating those. So if you go out to theaverageguy.tv, there's a little orange box that says cloud storage. Click on it, and it'll have all the reviews, short reviews that I've done on everything I've tried to use. There's about 12 or 13 of them. And then there's like 12 or 13 more links of things I haven't tried yet. And if anyone is interested in trying those for me and logging that experience and sending it to me, I'll get you posted and give you credit for it and all that good stuff. So, yeah, no, Mike, I don't have the Jimmy Drive on there yet. I guess I'll have to put that link, and that's not main for me. But I'll have to put that Jimmy Drive link out there and do some reviews. So if you want to help me review that, I'd sure appreciate it. I can't seem to keep up, and I could use some multiple ownership over that document. So if you want to join me, that's cool. Okay, just a couple announcements, and John, think of anything that you want to wrap up with here. So we're gonna kind of close this up, but a couple announcements, a couple local announcements. So if you're in the Omaha area, and I've actually heard from 3 of you, which is 3 more than I knew were here. No, not really, but I heard from 3 of you. Callie Lewis is coming to town here on April 30th, and actually Sarah and my daughter, who like Callie and I, are going to head out to the Drobo. Well, it's actually going to be at the Upstream Brewery in West Omaha, so if you're in the Omaha area, come out at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central on April 30th. Callie will be here. It'll be great. It's a Drobo event, so if you own a Drobo, even if you don't, let me know. Head out to theaverageguy.tv. I've got a post on that's got the instructions on it going forward. Or shoot me an email, podcast@theaverageguy.tv. Let me know you're coming. And there is a registration link for that through Eventbrite. If you'd fill that out, that'll know how much food Mario needs to buy when you get there. Food and drinks, so you might want to come out. Let me know that you're coming so I know that you will be there. One last thing, if you use, there's a Android or iPhone app or a game called Battle Bears. Ben Vu is the owner of that company. I didn't know this. He's a local Omaha guy, and their shop is just down the street. And so it's pretty excited to know that we've got some game manufacturing or some good game development going on in Omaha. I'm going to try and get Ben back on the show too. Talk a little bit about they want to start a podcast, so we're going to maybe do a little trade space. So maybe Ben Vu will come on. You can Google that, Battle Bears, and look that up. Support that, and you support the local Omaha economy in the game development. We'd love to see more game developers come to Omaha. It's a great place to come and develop and do that. So, okay, those are all my announcements. John, did we miss anything? Anything else? I'm going to try and have you on a month from now to talk about some more stuff, but anything else that you wanted to cover?
Yeah, maybe in a few weeks or a month, like you say. I'd like to cover Raspberry Pi.
We haven't done a show. We started a show on Raspberry Pi, and then we never came back to it.
Yeah, it's been a little bit kind of quiet there, but they've released their upgraded board. I think it's more memory. Like they modified the board. They did a couple little fixes that they were having some issues. So my brother actually bought one a couple of weeks ago, and we're putting some software on there to use it for like a media center type of device. And if guys ever heard of some program called there's one called Sickbeard and Maraschino. And so it's what happens is you can connect a USB drive to the Raspberry Pi. You can put your videos and stuff like that. You can use these programs like I said, Sickbeard or whatever, to go online. So you connect your monitor to it, your TV monitor or your desktop monitor, and you get a very nice, beautiful. Like it's surprising that this is coming from a $35 little PC, and you have your big tags and it's telling you what shows, TV shows. Like let's say if you're a fan of TV shows, basically this is the direction I'm looking at. And like let's say you have the show's on next week, it won't be on for 2 weeks, these are the episodes, these are the title, this is a synopsis. So it gives you a rundown of all the different media that your TV show that you're into. So we've been kind of playing around with that, and
cool.
It's surprising. It's
John, I took one of my coworkers out to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, was doing their senior engineering project fair. Let's just call it that, right? The engineering students who are seniors have to do this big capstone project at the end of the year. It's something that takes them the full year to do, and there's some pretty cool projects. And one of the ones that we saw so there's a joint here in Nebraska, UNO, the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and then the one at Lincoln. The engineering schools have cohorts. They come together to do these kinds of things. And so there was a group from UNO that was there, and UNO is really getting known for its robotics technology. They not only that, but they're actually creating the Borg there. So they're really good on swarming technologies as well. In other words, having disparate machines who understand spatial relationships between other machines, and they're able to put those together in both flying and driving patterns to create a swarm, which is really, really cool. But they were their project was to create a mechanical arm device that would assist in explosive ordnance disposal. And so they could drive these we have those today, but the goal was to make it very inexpensive. And so these guys use 2 Raspberry Pis in there to drive it. A battery, a little a battery about that big, and then all the parts for the arm. They just had a left arm that was there. All the parts for the arm, not all of them, but 90% of them were printed. This 3D printing that's becoming super popular now. I'm starting to see more and more 3D printed devices, but every bit of the arm was printed out and for them and shipped to them. And they did the whole setup for less than $300. So a whole mechanical arm that worked in real time. They did the demonstration where the guy put the sensors on his arm and then moved it around and did all kinds of stuff, picked stuff up. They did all that on this arm, less than $300. I thought that was pretty freaking impressive to be able to pull that off and drive it with 2 Raspberry Pis. So maybe I should have those guys on the show.
There you go. There's a podcast.
All about robotics. Yeah, darn, I wish I would have thought of that. I guess I know those professors really well. I could probably go back and ask.
You got some contacts. You got some pull.
Okay, so we'll plan a month from now. We'll plan on you coming back in and start. Speaking of a month from now, we'll have you back, John, and you can talk Raspberry Pi and any home server stuff that you want. But we also, coming up here for the next 2 weeks, we are going to talk laptops. So if you are interested in, I got the guys lined up, so I sent out a note to the hosts and said, hey, you guys want to talk about laptops? Come on in. And actually, I have a spot still open on the 25th, hosts. If you're one of my hosts, you're listening to the show, April 25th, I got a spot open to talk about laptops. Nathaniel Lindley's lined up at this point. Christian and Andrew will hopefully be in. We're going to talk about the next 2 weeks are dedicated to laptops, what you like, what you don't like, where they're going, what the future of them is, those kinds of things. We're in that middle ground between tablets and desktops, and everybody seems to be having laptops. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and bring that in. So, and then the next week on the 2nd, I've got Paul Breyer and Kevin Schoonover and John Stutzman lined up to talk about that. So we've got 2 weeks of laptops. If I get, and then actually then on the 9th, I will not be podcasting. So I've got one in the can I've been threatening to use with you guys. Actually, Chris Barnes and Mike Howard, I still have that podcast from CES that I haven't released. That one will probably go out during that week. So no live show on May 9th if you come out and listen. But
don't you have a birthday around there?
I've got a birthday coming up, but it's at the end of the month.
The end of April?
End of May.
Oh, yeah, 8th of May. Yeah. You're like me. You're a couple of days.
I'm May 26th. Aren't you like the 20th? What are you? 24th. That's right. I was going to say the 23rd, but yeah, we're just 2 days apart. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, they can, and you can just send money. That's okay. Send John Canadian money. Send me American money. All is good. Well, John, thanks for coming on tonight. Great to have you. I appreciate you coming out, and we look forward to having you again in a month.
Cool. Yeah, we had a lot of good talk there. No air, dead air.
no dead air tonight. We some good stuff covered. And John, if you want to go out to I'll listen, but if you think of any links, go out and drop them in the show notes real quick as we were talking. I'll remind folks, if you're new to listening to podcasts, and on this show, we probably don't have a lot, but I have been recommending Stitcher for folks. So Stitcher.com. It's available on Android, iPhone, I think even Windows Phone at this point. Any browser, you can listen to the podcast. You can go out there, create an account, and if you just search for Home Tech, it'll automatically load it, and then you can listen to the show each week. Stitcher.com, search Home Tech. It's I like to say it's education for your ears. And then, of course, you can subscribe to everything we do. You can subscribe on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TheAverageGuyTV. You can catch us each week right here at theaverageguy.tv/live at 8 p.m. Central. Thanks to all you guys in chat. Even my wife Sarah was out there tonight chatting away. Sarah, thanks for coming out and being a part of the chat room. And it always adds a lot to it when you are there to do it. So I appreciate you being out there to be in the chat room. We could use a few more girl geeks. I'll just be honest with you, John. A few more girl geeks would be great if we could just get a few. Maybe Callie will inspire a few girl geeks to come listen to the show. So, and then don't forget we have groups on Facebook. I mentioned that, facebook.com/group/theaverageguy. And that's really the group that's going on right now at the moment. The group on Google Plus isn't going well, but the conversations are good. So if you catch me on Google Plus, there are really good conversations out there. And then I mentioned if you're going to buy from Amazon, theaverageguy.tv/Amazon. Thanks, Michael Burris, for making me do that. And that will gets us a few cents commission, and then we turn that into prizes. I promised you a prize in early April. What are we on, the 12th? I have an 18th. Shoot, I still haven't come up with one. So the money's building up. It'll be a really good prize. Maybe you can send me some prize ideas. What would you like to win? Let's do that. What would you like to win? podcast@theaverageguy.tv. Tell me what you'd like to win, and don't put a Tesla in there, okay? I can't do one of those, but tell me what you want to win. And then, of course, if you haven't already, check out our new Financial Tech podcast that we got going on. Mike Howard is one of the faithful listeners to that, and he likes it, right, Mike? I think you're in chat. And I've given away a bunch of Drobos already, Keith. How many more Drobos can I give away? That's Keith was telling me to give away a Drobo in chat. If you've got 10 or 15 minutes in your week, Andrew Hunt and I get on and do a quick. I know it's hard to believe. I do a quick 15-minute podcast, but I do that. So it's just called Financial Tech, and you can get it through the same channels as you get Home Tech. Download that, have a listen, give me some feedback. It's a totally different format, so I like your feedback on it. So appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening. Appreciate all the things that you do, John. Again, thanks for coming out. Hang around. If you're listening live, hang around for the post-show. The only way to get post-show chat is to be here and come out live. I almost never put that in the recording unless it's funny or really good. So thanks for coming out tonight. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
Gee. Good thing you didn't booze it up, because if you booze up, you slur all your words. And don't forget, like that over there.
Yeah, they mentioned in chat. You
had your glass of wine and you're still.
I did. I'm still okay? Good. I'm still good. Thanks for that. I got a little bit left.
Sarah.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah, if you're watching, it's getting a little low.
Mm-hmm. Come here.
Keith had said in chat that he liked the announcements being at the end. And I used to do the announcements up front, and I'm really working at moving those to the end. In fact, last show, I physically moved on the recording. We did them up front. And then here she comes.
Hey, what a good girl. When's her birthday?
Her birthday is in March. We already had it. Thank you.
Okay. I guess you were good then. You're a good husband.
I was.
Because you get wine.